Looks like you're live streaming. If you can hear me.
Ladies and gentlemen, so we're yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you, Alan.
Well, since we are live, this is Intervision FM.
Can you hear me, Alan?
Since we have
All right.
been broadcasting.
And I record.
It looks like Johnny.
I'm here. Alan can't hear me.
Yeah, kind of.
Am
Yes.
I muted?
Yeah, it's kind of broken up a little bit.
Oh,
Can
it's
you hear me, Johnny?
breaking up a little bit. No.
Yeah,
Yes, I can hear you.
it's probably just some buffering going on. Johnny is in beautiful Estonia, Colorado. Oh, and I'm in Colorado. He's in Estonia. So we are far, far from each other. Thanks for joining us today. Where do you want to start, Johnny?
Yeah.
Since you're out of the country.
I want to start. I want to start with the electric cars. Okay. Thank you, Ira. We'll take it from here. You too. Well, bye. Well, I'm going to start with electric cars, and it was an observation I was thinking about. I don't know if I dreamed about it or thought about it, but since Colorado is #1 in car thefts, I've been thinking now that police in California and the regime that has been installed in the White House are kind of push cars on us, electric cars. Oh, yeah. Oh, tell me something I don't know. The computer says your internet connection is unstable. So tell me something I don't know.
It's pretty unstable. I don't know how long it'll be up.
Yeah. So I thought to myself, why aren't they stealing electric cars? And those are not the most popular cars that they listed are all gas vehicles. So I started thinking about like what would be some of the reasons why a thief who loves stealing wouldn't steal an electrical car.
Mainly the anti-theft capabilities inherently in an electric vehicle, because not only do you need the key fob to control the doors and windows and this and that, well, not so much the windows, but the doors and the that kind of thing, but you need it to start the vehicle. There's no other way to start an electric vehicle than with the key, and some of those keys have chips in them, so there's no real way to duplicate anything with regard to that. So that's one of the main reasons why I believe an electric vehicle is not being purloined as much as other vehicles.
Yeah, and then of course, you have to find that electrical bank, and when you're trying to get away, 30 minutes. Well, no. Well, some of them they say that, if you got the real advanced ones, they can charge it in 30 minutes to an hour, and that's a lot of time for police to catch up with you. So.
There is a bright side to this, because if you put the charging stations near stores, people will be encouraged strongly to visit your establishment and spend what small amount of money they might have, just because they have a lot of downtime. So there is an advantage to the business that might be available for the consumer to because we are still a consumer-based society, it's a situation where we're going to consume whatever products that are available. Uh, Even if we had to plan a trip to the Home Depot right near the charging station to go ahead and improve our homes.
Yeah. And so,
Shout out to the home improvement warehouses everywhere, all of Home Depot and Lowe's, and not trying to single them out. Just big box corporations versus smaller corporations. Your WalMarts will also see more business because of electric vehicles and the charging stations they want to put near. They definitely would behoove themselves to put near businesses like that.
hey, now I'll put on my tinfoil hat. So, you've heard of aliens visiting Earth and with technology that moves seamlessly faster than our technology ever has.
Okay.
And just mixing in the Bible, when I read the Bible and these guys just appear or a flash of light comes and knocks you to the ground. I'm thinking, okay, if there's technology out there and the government has privy to that technology and said, okay, well, let's take 2 steps to them, and maybe, just maybe, they'll see us floundering down here and say, well, let's just give them the tools they need to make this happen.
A sort of hand up, but not a handout.
Yeah, because I'm thinking all the stuff is in our ground, what we're making out. I mean, we had to go dig it out and then shape it and form it into something that we can use as microwave, televisions, videos. I mean, all this stuff was once a part of the earth until we took it out and somehow we figured out we can make stuff with this and we can create stuff, right? So I'm thinking every so few hundred years, maybe it's almost like a download of information is downloaded into somebody. Now, of course, we're killing off a lot of our babies. So maybe that person would have popped up, but they got killed off through Marcus Zinger's plan. So I'm thinking maybe there's a reason behind the madness of jumping the horse before, or putting the buggy before the horse.
Well, there are definite reasons behind any sort of madness. The ends do justify the means, according to some people. And so, therefore, we get what we get. We are all made in a certain way, and we're all united in the fact that we're all made in a certain way. None of us can really help the way that we're made. And so, it's just a situation where we have to choose a side at this point.
Yeah. Hey, and if you just join us, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe. We definitely need some more subscribers. We have so far 1,065, so we had 2 new subscribers. And so as you watch the video, just don't forget, give us a thumb up so that helps our algorithms, and subscribe, because a lot of people are looking at our Whitney story. So if all of those people would have subscribed, I mean, that would have really bumped us up. So, and we're gonna do something else about Whitney tomorrow. Tomorrow, yeah, it'll be a special show tomorrow. But anyway,
Awesome.
so the next one is the Wicked Witch is gone. Liz, who is the Wicked Witch? Liz Cheney, the Wicked Witch, who's well, I guess there's a feud between Trump and the Bush family, because they wanted the trifecta of 3 Bushes that held the office of presidency. right?
Yeah.
And Trump came in there, punched Jeb Bush in the eye, not literally, but figuratively, knocked his slow butt out, and that didn't happen. And I think Dick Cheney is holding a bigger grudge for the Bush family than the Bush family, maybe. You heard about the commercial he put on there saying that
I did.
Trump was a liar, and how could you do this? And well, they did do this, and they did it by a big margin. And Liz Cheney, I mean, for people to get in the government just because their dad was there, and just to get in there to do what they want to do, rather than what we, the people, want them to do, I think that the tide is starting to turn.
Well, it's interesting because the foundational things I was telling you a little bit before the show here, those are being literally looked at in a certain light. So if you have a certain flag in your home, or you got a certain saying that means something to you that is patriotic or American, those things are being looked at. And so it's interesting that because those certain symbols are being looked at, good or bad, they're going to be forgotten in the next number of years, because people, of course, want to stay out of controversy and harm's way. They want to remain at peace as much as possible and be left alone as much as possible. It doesn't matter how we're made, whether we're Republican or Democrat. We want to be left alone, and we want to be able to live our lives and pursue life as we see fit, liberty as we know it to be, and the pursuit of happiness in such a way that nets us and our families a good life.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning,
Oh,
Ashton.
there you are.
I don't blame y'all. I'm sitting here listening, but I don't blame both of y'all. I mean, we live in a society, whether you Democrat or Republican, where people feel like they can take the law into their own hands, that they can essentially get into somebody else's business. Like, we're grown adults. So I understand when people say they want to be left alone. And I think the pandemic really taught us that we can be all right sometimes left alone, as you had all these people sitting in their houses. And that was something I thought about too when that happened. A lot of people, are different nowadays. And I think when we are left at peace, it helps us to find ourselves. And I know during the pandemic, you couldn't do anything. You couldn't go to the gym and stuff for a bit. And I just think that we have to get back to leaving each other alone when it comes to certain things. Now, if people need help or other things like that, that's different. But
there's a difference between alone time and isolation. Being down was isolation. Being alone, being left alone, is to be able to pursue these foundational principles that made America the way it is. But you're absolutely right, man. People did change as the pandemic took hold and stuff in our country.
Right.
It's interesting.
Right. Yeah. So we were just saying, like, ding dong, the wish is gone, Liz Cheney. And I mentioned that back in 2003, Dick Cheney, he has a lot of investments in a lot of this war equipment. So he convinced the president at the time, Bush, to lie about this weapons of mass destruction. And he got Colin Powell to lie about it as well. And there was no weapons of mass destruction. And they never did bring up that on the night of.
What did they consider weapons of mass destruction? I still don't understand. Did they hold nuclear stuff there? No one ever said.
Yeah, it was pretty much like, nuclear capability. They were kind of convinced us that, they had achieved the nuclear power and they could blow us away. But it was really, Dick Cheney had all investment in all this weaponry, and he wanted to see how it would work, and he wanted to put our children out there to play with those weapons and kill a few, whatever. And wow. And he made a lot of money.
war is a lot of money, no matter if you're a private investor in it or the government. I think what this country needs to do is get back to peace times. Pearl Harbor, after that happened, or what have you. Some people say that America wanted peace times. After that, America hasn't really had any peace times, even in my lifetime. We're always at war with somebody. And I think if America could pull way, way back on that kind of stuff, then America would find itself probably a little bit more peaceful, but keep people in different regions. But we don't have to be going to every country on earth trying to be the savior when all these other countries don't pay their fair share into being protected or whatever. Some say other countries don't pay their fair share into NATO. I don't know if that's a Democrat or Republican thing, but what I do see is it's a lot of money going over into Ukraine when you have so many people hurt in this country and so many people that don't have anything, and it's billions of dollars with a B that goes into Ukraine.
And now, because they need more money, they have signed into law yesterday to hire 85,000 IRS people, they say, so they can answer the phones quicker, plus they're buying ammunition and weapons for these guys as well. And I'm thinking, like, why does the IRS guy need...
Well, they're hiring them agents because the public's tired of stuff being delayed. I mean, people, you see it in writing and stuff, and things like that. People are tired of, you see these piles of tax returns piled up and stuff. That stuff needs to be getting out of the door. And when the pandemic happened, a lot of people, the government was, these government so-called jobs, like what you're talking about, a lot of the staff, they didn't hire a lot of people. Why? Because we're in the middle of a pandemic, but they are, I believe, now that everything's getting back to quote normal, I think this is what they wanted, regardless of who was in office. I think they would have hired more staff anyway, simply because of the lack of, like, if you're on the phone with the IRS, it takes forever to get through to talk to somebody. People don't want to wait 2 and 3 hours on the phone, and some people were. And that's
okay, but you probably missed the ad. They put out an ad saying they're looking for IRS people that are willing to use force in order to get the job done. And of course, they bought all these guns. So,
just to be fair, that did get pulled and censored and all kinds of stuff. So
I bet
maybe I didn't see that. I just know that they said they would hire all these people regardless of a pandemic because they have no staff. People are waiting sometimes 4 hours to talk to a human. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, see, this is where we're stuck. This is totally where we're stuck. We've got an information war going. There are there's a single entity at the top that wants one thing, and that's not for good. We all know this. We're all united around that. We can focus and say that there is this thing, whatever that thing is, whatever name you want to put on it. That's what's going on. It's a unified force, and it's not for humanity. It's for our. It's not for our good. We'll put it that way.
Is it for these large companies like Rothschild? I keep hearing people bring up these names. It doesn't matter.
It's just a tool of the beast, and it ties into the whole book called the Bible. I mean, it really is filled. This is all it boils down to. You got the Republican, you got the Democrat, but they're being used by this one entity, this one force, and that's just the way it is. So we're going to get misinformation, disinformation. We're going to get told things that we know are true, but we'll get gaslighted.
Do you think that they all cahoot behind the scenes as one? Because I was asking somebody, I said, guys, it don't matter out here in the public if we're Democrat or Republican. I seriously think that they are laughing at us, the public, because people choose to be Democrat or Republican. They both fly on the same bird. You got the same wings. I just think that at the end of the day, it's interesting with politics, because with me, it's like if you're Democrat, you're this, but then there's no really in between. I mean, you got the Tea Party, you got all these other parties, but they're not big enough to muster anything. Libertarian. But they're not big enough to muster or win a vote. I haven't seen the Libertarian, you have the Democrat and Republican Party. Why is that? I don't know. I mean, that was before my time, but we need some mix in the game. And we haven't had that in my lifetime. We haven't had any other so-called parties that others can pick from. Even if you pick those parties, your candidate might not even see airtime. And a lot of people have complained about politics itself and how the lower candidates don't get any viewership. And I don't know why that is. That has to change, because that's not fair to these other parties.
Well, I definitely know they're not advertising. They say District 1, District 2, District 3, and District 4, and then they skip over District 5, and then they go to the other ones. And maybe that's a little bit of my part. Maybe I got to get a little bit more louder. And then they called me yesterday.
Why was District 5 skipped? Who skipped District 5?
Well, I'm in District 5. That's Denver, downtown Denver, and surrounding areas in Denver. It's pretty big. Matter of fact, I'm about to do an email blast of 50,000 Republicans in this area. I didn't know there was 50,000.
Wow.
I said, I thought this was like, maybe 24,000, but anyway. So
I'm happy for you. That's a lot of emails,
so I'm gonna be,
brother.
I'm paying this company to do it for me. I just wrote the words.
Okay. I'm finna say.
The thing being, that's a lot of mouths to feed, Republican or not, Democrat or not. All of this is it feeds back to the fact that we need to unite as a people. We're all one. We're all human, and this information war that we do have going is indeed a real thing, and we can put that aside because that will divide us. What will unite us is the fact that, like what Johnny's doing right here, getting involved at the local level. Also getting involved at the state level and the federal level is also of paramount importance before we can no longer do that as a people.
And voting is important at any level. I keep trying to tell my people voting's important, and it's like, well, no, because I feel like my vote don't count. That's a problem, because a lot of people fought for the right to do that. Go ahead.
Well, it's the idea that voting, even though it may not matter in the short term, in the long term, it always matters, because sooner or later somebody's going to get in that's going to be a wild card, such as Johnnie J here, who's running for House District number 5 here in Denver. Once he is elected into that position, why there'll be some representation, and that's the main thing. We need to represent ourselves. If we are indeed going to allow for our country to be governed by folks that we elect,
and people that will pick up the phone. There was this one lady that she was in the office, and I called her. Never got back with me. I kept calling. I said, wait a minute. And we have another lady that she's been they just keep electing her again and again. She has a full staff, and she doesn't return anyone's call. Well, I guess unless you're on the inside.
Why would she return the calls?
Well, because she says, hey, I'm in, and, people, they keep putting me in. And so why do I really have to do anything for the people when, I'm here to make mine, and, good luck. Oh man. But we are
those calls.
Yeah, we are 36,000 women, $36 trillion in debt.
Yeah,
as of now.
36 and $38 trillion. That's a lot of money.
How do we cut that debt down? I mean, seriously, should America, the government itself, somebody said, if America, I know this may sound out of the wall, but if America made marijuana legal across federal, they would be able to eventually take all of that revenue, because marijuana is a big deal. And some states are cutting their state debts with that. So why can't the government get into some type of business or something where their money can do the rule of 72 or something, man? Because all this being in debt, it just doesn't make sense when you see corporations be able to turn over their debt by investing in other things, eliminating their debts. But the federal government, you know, what can it do and what can people do so that the debt is cut back? We do spend a lot on Social Security, but not as much as what we spend on armament and war, or war preparation. So I
Oh,
don't know. Maybe America should stop, stop and think, what can our money go to help solve
uh,
this problem? Because we teach one, and America can't just file bankruptcy to eliminate that debt. Someone asked, well, could the government just? I said, I don't think so, because it's such a
well,
balloon.
yeah. Well, China is starting to own a lot of America, and
Uh,
I just found out that they're buying like farmland, but near some of our military bases because they love stealing our military information. So now I don't know how we allow them to buy land near our military bases, thinking
well,
that,
if it
oh, they're going to
becomes a
play fair.
problem, then we are in America. America can take that land back through annexing it, or what America will do whatever it needs to do to protect its interest. I did tell somebody that. I said, it's fine. People can buy whatever they want, whether you're from China, Europe, whatever. But the minute that you start doing stuff you don't have any business doing, America's going to shut that down, because you're in this country, right? It doesn't
Well,
matter what you own. America
but
can shut
uh,
that down.
I got to tell you this part because I just listened to this. If you get a chance, her name is Kim Munson. That's Monson.
Okay.
Kim Munson, and she has a podcast. Well, the day on her show, she was talking about George Soros, and this guy has created a bunch of these nonprofits. And I was telling Alan before the show started that I would see these foundations, foundations, and they would say, don't contact us, we'll contact you if we want to give you money. And I think about it, I said, oh, okay, because there's so many other ones I can go forward and I can get money from them. But now
They
I'm
said,
finding out
don't
that all these
contact you.
don't contact us, we'll contact you if we want to give you money. Pretty much that's what it
What
says.
kind of slogan is that?
I'm just paraphrasing. And now I'm finding out
Right.
that George Soros has created all these nonprofits, and it's almost like
Okay.
money laundering to funnel money in there to do his bidding. And then a lot of these nonprofits are ones that are interfering with our voting, interfering with
Okay.
just a lot of things that they shouldn't be interfering with, but because they were created to do that, it's a way that they can launder money. And it's like, I mean, like I said, I just found out that
But don't
today and
both
listened to
parties
the
maybe
day.
have these charities? Even your smaller city people are getting in trouble with the different things because they're putting their hands in certain interests and things like that. So I think whether you are Democrat or Republican, this stuff goes on both sides. And even if you're not a political figure, it's a lot of people that invest their money offshore. There's nothing wrong with using maritime law. It's not illegal to invest your money in another country if that country is willing to allow you to do that. Or even another entity, if they're willing by law to allow you to invest in them. Because I've been looking at a lot of this stuff so that I can come with good information. A lot of people don't like it, but it's not illegal to move your money off shore of the United States.
Interesting. That's an
I think
interesting viewpoint. Accountability, though, is
it
what
is.
needs to really take place in a lot of places. And
Uh,
with offshore accounts, you
right.
can really look at funneling monies that don't have to be accounted for, because
Right.
obviously maritime law comes into play, all kinds of
Right.
interesting things. And we're under a sort of admiralty law anyway, but that's for another day entirely.
We'll
Our
talk about that some other time. Yeah.
Yeah, man, our constitution is being subverted right and left. And if we're not a nation of
Exactly.
laws, then we are a nation of, um, well, whatever,
Of hardly
whatever
no
the
laws,
law is.
lawlessness or something.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. And so there is this idea that we are all sheep. It just matters who the shepherd is that we follow. So we could talk about Ding dong, the witch is dead. Liz Cheney has been ousted, and we get this new lady in Wyoming. We could talk about all these things. And what it really boils down to is how we conduct ourselves day to day during what can be termed as the fall of our society as we go into the fall. That's what I'm talking about, YouTubers. Just so you YouTubers know, I'm talking about the autumn that we're coming into, and our whole society is coming into autumn. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. But we just need to conduct ourselves.
Kids going back to school. They go back to school. They have started, and I said, "Where are all these yellow buses coming from?" And I wasn't thinking because I don't have kids in school. It's time. It's autumn. It's time.
Looks like Johnny Johnson left. Huh? Wonder what that means.
Where he went.
I don't know where he went. Hopefully he'll get back on. Are we still streaming? I don't even know.
Live,
yep. It looks like. Oh, we'll just wait for him for a bit. We'll close out the show. Johnny is in Estonia, Colorado. I do want to give a shout out to the sponsors. Richard Damiano in Littleton, Colorado, runs, has something to do with corneal transplants and this kind of thing. Vision's important. So Richard Damiano, Littleton Eye Clinic, check him out, check his work. Perhaps you'll find what you're looking for, so to speak. Wow, that's interesting. Right. We also have Christian Brothers Moving Company, and they are in Texas, Phoenix, and also based here in the Denver area. And I'm Alan C. We're joined by Ashton Smith. And
hello, everybody.
What are your qualifications? You're an Olympic medal gold, or you're an Olympic gold medalist, but you're from the Special Olympics. Is that right?
Yeah, I am from the Special Olympics. And I'm visually impaired, and that's what qualified me for the Special Olympics. And and because of what I wrote a book about my journey. The name of my book, it's called.
Man, it's a really interesting story. I'll tell you, folks. You really need to check that story out. It details some of your stuff, some of your experiences during the pandemic, during the lockdown, all that stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, Swimming Upstream to Realize the Dream is the name of my book that tells my story. And it does. I mean, some of the hardships. It mainly talks about some of the hardships in the Special Olympics and how I'm going to get through that. I'm going to be able to. I'm getting people around me as we speak that's going to start helping me get things underway, because it's time for me to start being able to learn, take care of myself and be a provider. In the Special Olympics, they don't believe that you should be a provider. The government's going to take care of you. Your daddy's going to take care of you. So you have no inkling of responsibility to pay rent, bills, nothing, because you're told, because you're in the Special Olympics, that somebody else will pay your bills.
And then you woke up and the really real world hit. So check that out, yes, folks. That's an awesome story. I guess we'll leave it with that. Johnny was planning, God willing, that we do a show tomorrow. So
yeah,
that
what
happens.
Time?
Same time, I would imagine. Boy, if this is still live streaming, then I guess everybody have yourselves a good day, and we will see you tomorrow.
All right, y'all be blessed. Let me know, and I'll be on. Love y'all.
Love you.
Y'all be blessed.